one person then has another person.
And I had someone else message me, just a citizen, and asked me about it. Said,
Well, actually, I saw it on Facebook, but he was from WPSC and it was your picture. And I was like, "What?" And I saw it on the website.
but the question I've gotten from two people is, why would Calvert not allow, it's that
Yeah.
plant, so.
Yeah, it's a disappointing message. I think we need to say something.
Again, who was the human being?
We are live.
University of Liberal.
Oh. They've heard how big Wildcat fans we are. That's the whole problem.
Okay, so. Ready? Me? Okay. Ready? All right. I'm trying to dig my stuff out. Okay. It's a little past 5:30, but I want to welcome everybody to the May meeting of Calvert City Council. We've got what could be a pretty lengthy business meeting tonight, or might be short if everything goes very well. So we'll see. But to start, Glenda, are you prepared to lead us in the pledge?
I am ready.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we put out the council packet last week, and so we got a couple of meeting minutes to attend to, and I would take comments, corrections, or a motion to accept for the April 14th meeting minutes.
Make a motion to accept it.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? None? Okay. The same for the April 24th special call meeting. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you for that. It's always good to get those taken care of first and foremost. Visitors and petitioners. Tonight, I look across the crowd. We've got a few visitors. I do want to say that at the end of this meeting, there is a potential to go into an executive session for the ongoing project if council so desires to go there. So we'll park that at the end. Tonight, we have a presentation from Elena Blevins, who's the director of Kentucky Lake Convention and Visitors Bureau. So she's visiting us for the second time. She came last year. I don't remember which meeting.
Neither. But thank you for having me again. I try to go to fiscal court about twice a year, just to kind of give them an update on sort of what things are going on, how to see them, what to expect the upcoming year, and we just kind of, I thought maybe I should do these with our city council as well. So I'm here to do just that. And Jean gave me 10 minutes, so
Well, we do have a budget thing going on. Okay.
really fine. We should be pretty close to that. So just a quick recap, who is the Kentucky Lake CVB and what is our job? Our purpose is, as the tourism office, to promote tourism and economic growth in Marshall County through the expenditure of the transient room tax, to act as an aggressive sales agent and to try to attract conventions, meetings, and visitors to our area in a variety of methods. But we were established in 1970 by the Marshall County Fiscal Court. So we are a quasi branch, governmental branch of the fiscal court. We are funded through a countywide 3% transient room tax. So anytime anyone spends a night in a hotel room, cabin, cottage, Airbnb, whether it's campsite even, they have a 3% transient tax that is collected and remitted to the local treasurer's office and then turned over to our office for to utilize. We have 7 board of directors, and the current board is they're listed down there in your packet. But it's Kimberly Lightfoot, Tristan Smith, Misty Grebner, Tim Sassine, Jimla Cash Folks, Joyce Dowdy, Cindy Cook. So all of our appointments are made through KRS state statute. So we have to have a variety of board members that represent the lodging community in Marshall County, the restaurant community within Marshall County. Our Chamber of Commerce has the ability to submit names for a pick on the board, and then our county judge executive has 2 appointments as well. So when it comes to our funding and the transient tax update, we had a strong year in 2024. We collected a little over 420,000 in local transient tax revenue throughout the fiscal year. But fiscal year to date, for this year, we are currently down about 15%, which is making the budget a little tight. But this is the sentiment and sort of the trend right now nationwide. So the travel economy is struggling right now. There's just consumer confidence is not great. Unfortunately, when budgets get tight in local households, a lot of times travel is the first thing. And vacations get a little bit smaller and a little less, maybe a little closer to home, but we see opportunity in that. Our transient tax, 80% is made up of resorts, so 2 state parks, hotels, motels, short-term rentals make up about 20%. Campgrounds are pretty minimal, but they are growing and we are seeing a lot of them. And then we have about 150 active short-term rental units in Marshall County, which is fairly large for our one county that we have. We have a pretty massive short-term rental population. So Airbnb is actually non-compliant with Kentucky state law. So whenever we have the opportunity, if you know people who are operating short-term rentals, we always encourage them to use VRBO or Evolve vacation rental platforms because they are actually choosing to comply with Kentucky state law. So we have a lawsuit pending with Airbnb that is currently ongoing. So some of our marketing highlights for 2024 include, we did a lot of digital marketing campaigns. We did radio streaming with iHeartRadio, digital billboards in Southeast Missouri, Southern Illinois. We do a lot of YouTube pre-roll and then a lot of social media, organic posting, but then also paid media campaigns through those social platforms as well. One of the newer things that we also brought on this year was a content partnership with Jason Seelock, who is a local sort of fishing extraordinaire. He is very knowledgeable of our fishery. We are very, very lucky to have him here, and he has done a wonderful job of really providing us with some quality, great content on the fishery, and we now have that up on our site. And then we also recently, for 2025, we just hired a PR company that is going to help us sort of elevate our messaging as we move forward. We're excited to get to work with them in the upcoming fiscal year. You see one ad up there that says vacation time, stay close to home this summer. This is going to kind of be an ongoing theme for the upcoming fiscal year. We're going to be focusing on volume markets that are within a 4 to 6 hour drive radius, just because of the way the travel economy is right now. So we're encouraging people to stay a little bit closer to home this year, but that doesn't mean that you still can't have fun. So especially in a place like here. Next, I just have a couple. We have a research company that provides us with a lot of analytics about who is coming to our area, when and where they're coming. So just some kind of high level points of interest here. In our executive pulse, this is a report that I get pretty much weekly, but I actually fine-tuned it to where it was over the course of the year. But 36.8% of devices were tracked for visitors. Probably the most interesting stat on this slide would be that 51% of total visitor spend went directly to local businesses. So our visitors really do spend money in our communities, and they spend money at local businesses. So that's always a really great percentage point. And I actually got my most recent executive pulse report today, and it was up to 60%. As it was the local spend. So that means people are coming. Our top markets are Evansville, Paducah, and that also includes like Southern Illinois. It's the Paducah DMA area. So it's broader than just Paducah, but it's sort of that region. Nashville, St. Louis, and Louisville. Under visitor snapshot highlights, you'll see visitor spend was led by food and beverage. So people, when they're visiting here, they do come to eat. They're eating in our restaurants. Arts and entertainment, gas. And then our top spending markets, which is a little bit different. So top markets overall kind of tell you the number of people just sort of from a device standpoint where they're coming from. But our best spending markets are actually Nashville, St. Louis, and Chicago. Under our strategic planning insights, obviously our peak is summer 2024. We have what they call a quality market index. These are people that they are seeing in our area that are not in one of our top market segments. And so recently, The areas and the locations that have been popping up are Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia. And then there was also like Knoxville, Tennessee, a lot of competing lake communities, which is a good indicator that the fishery is coming back strong, that we are seeing a lot of anglers return to Kentucky Lake because especially those Alabama areas, that's where Lake Gunnersville is, which is probably our biggest competition when it comes to bass fishing right now. So it was really exciting to see those quality markets and those areas popping up on that index. When it comes to accommodations, visitors that are most likely to stay in accommodations would be from Chicago, St. Louis, Evansville. And our website content, the most engaged is with outdoor recreation, our homepage, obviously, but events. And then, so I think we do have opportunity to kind of continue to boost up some of our events. And then under website engagement metrics, over the course of 2024, our sessions were up 15%, which was good. We did see a slight decline in engagement, but I actually expect that to increase for this upcoming year because of our partnership with Jason Seelock. We have seen a lot of longer time, especially on those fishing pages, of people reading his articles, the fishing calendar that he created for us. So I expect that to go up. And then once again, summer and spring are our peak seasons for website traffic. And then an interesting, that very last one that said high traffic but low SEO pages are boating, family fun, and restaurants. These are our website pages that a lot of people click on, but they're not staying on that page for very long. So I think we have opportunity there to get some content, some storytelling pieces to really kind of highlight our boating sort of element that we have on Kentucky Lake, as well as some of our family fun activities and our restaurants. Next, you have some sponsorships. These are things that the tourism office sponsored over the course of 24 and into 25. So there's quite a variety there. Probably the most successful one we hosted in 2024 was the Tackle Warehouse Invitational. This event was made possible due to the ARPA funding that we received from the Kentucky State Legislature, which we are very grateful for. But that event came with a lot of great press. It sort of put us back on the map when it comes to fishing, which is what we were hoping for. And so from that, it has been nothing but fishing nonstop ever since we hosted that tournament. So it's been really exciting. We were able to help Calvert City, though, sponsor the hot air balloons. Despite the fact that it didn't quite go off as we had originally planned. We managed to sneak them in at Christmas, but we were happy to help you guys with that. We also supported and sponsored the River Folk Fest. And then, of course, Blair, I don't think I could do life without Blair. So anytime we work very closely together, and we always try to find ways to kind of partner and help out. So some exciting events that are coming up. We just finished the Toyota Series in the USA Bass and Championship Week. This is our biggest event that we host. They had about 800 entries over the course of 2 weekends. So each tournament, they do 3 back-to-back-to-back. They had about 250 boats per tournament. So there was a lot of people in the area during those 2 weekends. And then Major League Fishing's Bass Pro Tour is going to be happening the first weekend in June, which this will put us on the national stage as far as the fishery goes. It's happening at our state park at Kentucky Dam Village. So we're really excited to really kind of highlight and showcase for that event. So in 2025, we are hosting a Southern Pickleball. So we're sponsoring USA Southern Pickleball is hosting actually a tournament in August, but it's going to be at the Ken Lake Tennis Center. So, and I believe they made the Calvert City tournament one of their qualifiers. Yes. So that was kind of exciting. This was from that FAM tour. I think some of you guys came to the dinner when we hosted the sports FAM tour. And this was one of the events that resulted from that trip. We also are hosting a coon hunt in October. And then we'll be having USA Bass in the championship back next year. And then we will also back on to host the high school state fishing bass championship. We are now even years, whereas Lake Cumberland will be odd years. So we have already allocated quite a bit of our sponsorship line item though for next fiscal year. So the last piece, we recently, we had a strategic planning workshop about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, where my board and some other members of the community were able to come through and just sort of talk to us about tourism, some interests, some needs. We did a good SWOT analysis of sort of our industry locally. And we were able to come up with a working document that we feel like is really going to guide the tourism industry. over the next several years. So you have in your packet the entire document, so I won't spend a whole lot of time, but essentially our vision is to strengthen Kentucky Lake's position as a premier outdoor recreation and tourism destination, and to develop sustainable strategies that are going to increase economic impact and enhance visitor experiences. And so we'll do that through a variety of ways, but a lot of it is going to include advocating for development for additional funding mechanisms, strengthening our marketing strategies, launching sort of education within the local community as far as why it's important that our local tourism industry exists and how we can help benefit the community. And then really sort of advocating more effectively at the state and federal level. So I welcome you to kind of read through that document. If you have any questions regarding the strategic plan, if there's something that you really feel like we missed, I'd love to hear it. One of the interesting things that we kind of came from our discussion was shuttle services and just how Marshall County, we don't have a lot of ride share and shuttling opportunities to get people off the water and into the community. And so that was an interesting element that I wasn't really expecting. So, it was a good conversation. I felt like we were really able to sort of identify a few things that we really can kind of dig into and see where we might be able to improve. So, but other than that, oh man, I'm at 13 minutes. I'm gonna cut it off. Sorry, I talked as quickly as I could.
You're doing great.
But
I didn't put the stopwatch to you. I thought you did fantastic.
so, but yeah, so that's kind of just a quick sort of update and what to expect. But again, if you ever have anything you need, please let us know.
Thank you. I think I'm glad that you're taking the chance to reach out. I mean, there are things that impact the city, and Blair's efforts go hand in glove with tourism on many different occasions. So
Yeah, well.
thank you. Okay. We got quite a bit of old business to get through tonight. Probably the banner thing that we need to complete, or on the slate to complete tonight, of course, is our budgetary effort. And we can get into reading the budgets and going through the budgets. But first, I want to ask if everybody had a chance to go through it. I mean, we had a budget workshop, had the first reading. Is there anything else that we need to really handle and discuss on the budgetary process before we move forward here? We all good? Okay. All right.
Do the summary of the personnel pay classification first, since it's the shortest.
Sure.
All right, this is a summary of ordinance 2025-02, establishing a personnel pay classification plan for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. Pursuant to KRS 83.07072 and Calvert City Ordinance Section 31.02 B and C, City Council has adopted a personnel pay classification plan establishing compensation rates for the various classifications of employees of the city and non-elected city officers for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 25 and ending on June 30, 26. The complete plan and ordinance adopting same is maintained by the city clerk at City Hall located at 861 East Fifth Avenue, Calvert City, Kentucky. That's the summary.
Okay. Procedurally, we got to do this right. So a motion to introduce, accept, adopt, accept.
I'll make a motion to adopt the pay classification as presented. Second.
Okay. Got a motion in a second.
Okay. Councilwoman Shelton.
Yes.
Councilman Howard.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hale.
Yes.
Councilman Rao.
Yes.
Councilman Brown.
Yes.
And Councilman Stokes is absent.
Okay.
So passes.
Okay, then we have an ordinance adopting the city of Calvert City, Kentucky annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 25 through June 30, 26 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. Whereas the City Council of the City of Calvert City, Kentucky has reviewed the budget proposal of the mayor and has developed a budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 25 and ending June 30, 26. In anticipation of the financial needs of the city, and whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City, Kentucky has reviewed and approved the proposed budget of the Board of Public Utilities for the city's municipal water and sewer system. Now therefore be it ordained by the city of Calvert City, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the annual budget for the city, including the city's municipal water and sewer system, for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026, hereby is adopted as follows. All right, for the general fund, estimated fund balances beginning July 1, 2025 is $6 million. Estimated revenues, property taxes, $1,407,000. Payroll tax, $1,006,000. Licenses and permits, $1,760,000. Intergovernmental revenues, $58,500. Fines and forfeits, $5,000. Charges for services, $136,000. Other revenue, $473,000. Total estimated revenue is $5,439,500. Making total resources available of $11,439,500. Estimated appropriations for general government, $1,285,050. Police, $1,345,698. Fire, $219,950. Street, $1,260,000. Sanitation, $372,550. Economic development, $281,000. Parks, $543,500. Airport, $192,000. Fire training center, $30,000. Cemetery, $60,000. Beautification, $0. Total estimated appropriations, total estimated appropriations is $5,589,748. Giving us an under appropriation of $152,48. Net change in fund balance is $152,48. Estimated fund balances on June 30, 2026 is $5,849,753. For capital projects, estimated fund balances on July 1, 2025 is $3,716,901. And that's the total resources available. Estimated appropriations for general government is $124,000. Street is $820,000. Economic development is $100,000. Parks is $665,000. Fire training center is $100,000. Cemetery is $75,000. Total estimated appropriations is $1,884,000. The under appropriations is $1,884,000. Transfers in and out are $0. Net change is $1,884,000. Estimated fund balances as of June 30, 2026 is $1,832,901. Special revenue funds, estimated fund balances July 1, 2025 is $771,015. Governmental revenue, intergovernmental revenues is $75,000. Other revenue is $187,250. Total estimated revenue is $262,250. Total resources available is $1,033,265. Estimated appropriations for fire is $15,000. Street is $500,000. Total estimated appropriations is $515,000. The under appropriation is $252,750. Net change in fund balance is the $252,750, and the estimated fund balance is June 30, 2026 are $518,265. For the municipal water and sewer, estimated fund balance June 30, 2025 is $1 million. Estimated revenues from operations are $2,762,000. Capital grants, loans, and transfers are $2,083,660. Total estimated revenues $4,845,660. Total resources available are $5,845,660. Estimated expenditures for operating is $2,424,590. Depreciation is $565,000. Capital and debt retirement is $3,086,710. Total estimated expenditures are $6,076,300. Excess revenues under expenditure, over expenditures. No, revenues under expenditures are $1,230,640. Depreciation is $565,000. The net decrease is $665,640. And the estimated fund balance June 30, 2026 is $334,360. That's the deal.
Everybody get all that? All right. So a motion to adopt the 25 budget. Ordinance 2503.
I make a
Anybody?
motion to adopt the
Okay.
budget.
Got a motion from Nina. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Shelton,
Yes.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hale,
Yes,
Councilman Rao,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
and Councilman Stokes is absent.
Okay.
Budget passes.
Thank you for that. Shows a lot of work and it's a monumental time to pass the budget. And I think that we've got a healthy budget and appreciate all the workshop, all the volunteers, all the boards, all the staff, all the roll up and the work that it takes to get that done. One of our most important pieces of work all year. So thank you. Okay, moving on the agenda to new business.
Chapter.
So during the budgetary process, we touched on the refuse collection garbage ordinance, and so we've got some amended ordinances in front of us. John, you want to talk about what these are?
You guys said you wanted to increase the cost per month for the charges by $1.50. We applied that across the board, and at the same time, we also corrected some information on the ordinance that was out of date. It was still referring to 40-gallon containers, and we haven't used those in 10 years or longer. The city provides it, and we've made changes so that it indicates that you will use the garbage can or the garbage container, refuse container that the city provides. It's a 90-gallon container. The costs are reflective of that in this. It hasn't changed the number of pickups. It's just increased across the board, $1.50 per unit of collection. So basically what you're talking about, instead of $7 for a regular pickup, it's going to $8.50. Back pickup will go up $1.50, and so will commercial. We're all going up by $1.50 per month per unit. So and that's the changes that you'll see.
We really didn't want to do it. We just felt like that was the best interest of the city to do it. But I just wanted to mention one more time, the last time this was raised.
Oh, God, I can't. It goes back more than 20 years.
Just to have it on the record. That's
Yeah.
all.
I don't know the exact, it was probably 80, last amendment to that was what, 84? Let me see back here, let me go back to the actual ordinance itself.
You can make a special request and get a smaller one. But I think that the ordinance is set up, and I looked through that and thought about, do you want to call out exactly what you have? It's the same fee, whether you request a smaller one or not. So it's not called out specifically in here.
Is our basic unit 90 or 95?
It's 90. It's a 90-gallon
I
container.
don't see 90 in here, but
It is 90-gallon container. There's not a 95, it's 90.
Okay.
I went through that with Brad to verify that, and so it's 90.
Well, it's a little distressing that if we ended up changing container suppliers and we got one that's 92.5 gallons, we would not have to change this ordinance.
But the way it's written by this, you won't have to worry about it
Okay.
with that, as far as the definition of it goes.
If that's gonna take a while, John, it's okay. I just wanted to point out that.
No,
it is-
I can tell you right
it has
now, it was
been.
the last ordinance passed on this was in 91.
Okay.
That was 6/10 of 91. That was the ordinance 91-08. And that was the last time it's been amended.
It seems like last week, doesn't it, Chief? Okay, so it's been quite a while.
35. Let me
Does it
look.
even have to say the basic unit of collection? Can you not just say a container supplied by the city?
That's what it says in the definition of the refuse container. We just elaborated on it on the fee thing, so they'll know.
we could.
It doesn't have to be
we could
there.
Trim that in the section that, in subsections 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And
Right.
just leave that out.
You can remove that. It's just let them know that what the container is. They'll have to use what we provide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the point, and
That
the
doesn't have
point,
to be in there.
yeah, the point there is that we've got the tipper. Is for employee safety and expediency, so that's why we're saying it has to be a container and.
So that phrase with the basic.
Well, what you were
unit
talking
collection
about,
fee,
if we change to a different side,
Yeah.
we have to
Remove that.
update the ordinance.
Yeah,
Is that what
it
you all-
doesn't make sense to have to do that, and it won't.
Is that what you all want to do, is just take that with basic unit collection being 90 gallons of refuse? You want to remove that from this?
Yeah.
modification?
We only address it every 35 years, maybe we should make it more.
It's gonna be what we or what you determine it will be.
It was slow. Sorry, Ralph, that was.
Okay, so let's just take that phrase out
On 1 and 2.
on 1 and 2, yes.
But you can go to various retailers and find a container that would work in our tipper.
Mhm.
And that's not what we're talking about. It has to be the Calvert City container. And that's really the most important part.
Right.
We get to strike that whole state, that whole section.
Doesn't it say that in
No.
here?
Yeah, under refuse container, it says it'll be provided.
Okay. No, that number 1.
The small one, does it work in the tipper also?
Yep.
2 has to be deleted.
It does. My mom's got one.
Yeah, section 2, that is actually.
That's probably what happens. Depends what's in it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know that, but I mean, it just added here where the other one was already there.
Mhm.
Oh, well, to show.
I know.
Yeah, we gotta bracket and remove that.
Paul only has one.
Okay, so everybody had a chance to get cozy with this? We're ready to take action on it?
I just wanted to. How are you changing it? Are you,
Removing the number 90 and just saying container.
Yeah, I'll read it to you just a second.
okay,
let you know.
I'm just wondering, but we've
Sure.
got appropriate,
In
Would-
the
would you-
definition section and in 1 and 2, we'll scratch with the basic unit of their collection being 90 gallons of refuse.
So that's not in the original, that's not in the definition. The
So-
90 gallons is not in the definition.
There's
it's
no
in the lower
number.
Section.
okay, but
So,
you're on the ordinance, not on the summary, right? This is,
That's correct.
okay,
so under 51,
no, I'm good. There was something on this one that I was.
Yeah. so 51.04, is this going to refer back to the definition sections 51.01?
What I'm trying to get at
Both of them.
is that on this one and on both of them, it says to utilize the appropriate refuge containers. Could you just not say,
Provided by the city.
okay, they're good.
But, and it has that in definition of refuse
It's in-
container.
Yeah, but I'm
if
just
you look at
thinking
the
mo-
Definition, it's in there.
But I'm thinking that a lot of people wouldn't want to look for the definition. I'm talking about if somebody looks it up online and wants to see it,
Right,
that's
not a
all,
lot of people are gonna read this ordinance.
so. But if you got appropriate, what you said is fine with me. That's cool.
It refers back to the definition.
Yeah.
And then that after the paragraph will be marked out, what you're saying. After the paragraph, sorry.
Into the sentence.
Yeah, after the comma.
Yeah, it just goes to period from comma right there. It just stops right there.
Okay. Still a bargain. Calvert City hauls stuff very effectively and inexpensively.
We do.
All right. So in order to get going here, do we need to read? Well, I guess we have to have a motion first.
And I've got a summary.
Okay.
They read the summary first.
That you want.
Motions first.
Well, motion to introduce and then a motion to have the first reading, right? Introduce.
No, introduce is the first reading.
Right.
I'll make a motion to introduce.
Okay.
I'll second.
With the changes.
With the changes,
Okay.
John's.
I'll read a summary. I'll read.
Then we're gonna read the summary.
Okay.
Okay. City Council of the City of Calvert City has adopted an ordinance amending section 51.01 through 51.99 of Calvert City Code of Ordinances, revising the rates charged and the procedures utilized by the city in serving its garbage collection and disposal customers. Following portion of the ordinance establishes the rates applicable to garbage collection and disposal effective on publication of the ordinance. Subsection 1, residential customers shall be required to utilize appropriate refuse containers as defined in section 51.01. There shall be a charge of $8.50 per month per unit for refuse pickup at the unpaved portion of the right of way in front of the dwelling, and a charge of $12 per month per unit for refuse pickup at the side or rear of the dwelling. Each residential customer should be allowed to present one container. Excuse me.
Okay.
For collection twice each week. Commercial customers should be required to utilize appropriate refuse containers as defined in section 51.01. Each commercial customer shall be assessed a fee of $12.13 per month per unit of refuse collected twice each week. Additional units shall be assessed when the city clerk treasurer and or the city administrator determine that a customer has established a pattern of usage requiring more than one unit of refuse collection. A copy of the entire ordinance is maintained and may be reviewed without charge of City Hall 861 Fifth Avenue, Calvert City, Kentucky, during normal operating hours. That's the summary.
Okay. So we've had some discussion about it already, and we're going to, we have to do a roll call.
Mhm.
Okay.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Rao,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hale,
Yes.
Councilman Howard, Councilwoman Shelton,
Yes.
Councilman Stokes is absent. Okay, that's for the first reading.
Okay. So that's another piece of budgetary business, really. When you think about it, and appreciate your work and for John and Glenda getting this in front of us to go ahead and sew it up. Take care of it. Now, other new business that was sent out to council ahead of time. There's been some conversations about special vehicles as approved by the state and the Marshall County Fiscal Court. Thank you, Monty. Considered their wishes on this ordinance. So it was the Senate Bill 63 authorizing local governments to enact ordinances permitting street legal special purpose vehicles. So the county's taken action and they're ready for that. And I'll turn it over to Greg to talk about it in general.
Okay. This is an ordinance that addresses what most of us would call side by sides. It's a different vehicle than normally what we consider an ATV. These are the larger vehicles, and you can, if you'll look on that section of Paris chapter 186, that's going to define and describe what these vehicles are. They're bigger, got more stuff in by way of headlamps and tail lamps and brake lamps and trail lamps and white lights and red reflectors and amber electric turn systems and amber or red electric turn signals on the rear of the vehicle, braking systems other than the parking brake, horn and warning devices, working muffler, which is going to take out the electric vehicles, rear view mirrors, right and left windshields. You see what we're talking about. The state has adopted a statute that says those vehicles may be operated on public ways, on streets and highways and so forth, so long as the local body of government, be it a county or a city, wherever this passageway is, has adopted or adopted by reference this state statute. And the state statute has not actually been codified yet. It comes into effect July the 27th, I think, is its effective date. You can agree to just allow it to be utilized in the city of Calvert City. It won't require any change in our current ATV ordinance. It's a different animal. You may make it more restrictive. The county has added one restriction that I'm aware of. We have a copy of their ordinance also. I think the only additional restriction they added was you can't operate one of these on a highway where the speed limit is greater than 55 miles an hour. You may do that or do whatever you want to do. But until you take some action approving that state statute, those vehicles will not be allowed, other than to the extent they are ATVs. They may be allowed on our streets at 125 miles an hour and that kind of thing, if they qualify as an ATV, but they won't be allowed otherwise. So that's really what you guys need to sort of address is, do you think it's a good idea? If you do think it's a good idea, do you think you need to add any restrictions, anything beyond what the state has done, which is basically just throwing the door open, other than requiring that you have a good vehicle and you've got an insured and you're driven by a licensed driver and all that. And when you decide what it is that you want to pass, then we'll just put the ordinance together and you guys can pass it. You've got what, couple of 2.5 months, something like that.
So I've had some phone calls on it and I'd suggest, I think that some of the council members had, and so I asked to get this in front of you. So we could take a look on it. So, this is on public roads within the city over which we have purview. Okay.
So the state statute has no mile per hour language.
So I
It-
suppose if you want to drive.
It can't be on an interstate.
I started saying, I thought you said you couldn't be on the
It may
interstate.
have.
Limited access roads like that, it's can't. So
You're
it
closer than I did, at least you read more recently.
Yes.
than I did.
probably,
No, I read it too. That wasn't it in this paperwork we got?
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
the
it
state
did.
statute.
Yeah, I thought it did, yeah.
So I'm sure that the federal, interstate isn't gonna let that go. And then evidently the state has gone through limited access roads in addition, which may not be on the interstate highway. So, if you're a little island of not doing that, I don't know how you really communicate that to the folks. I guess you'd put signs at the city limits, establishing that along with our noise ordinance and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know, it's something to throw out there and think of, like Greg said, we've got 2 months to consider it.
I've been mixed on it. There's quite a bit of there's quite a bit of things that you have to do to make them legal. It's a fairly extensive list. I don't know how many people would.
I mean, a Ranger you bought new off the lot, was it hit most of those requirements? It
I
sounds
don't
like.
think a lot of them have blinkers and.
Yeah, blinkers is gonna be the biggest issue.
Mhm.
And side mirrors. A lot of them don't have outside side mirrors.
They have to be, they also has to be registered just like a vehicle, and they'll issue a motorcycle plate for it. So you have to have automobile or motorcycle insurance or something that will cover it while it's on the road.
And yearly inspection.
Is
Yeah,
it yearly inspection? Okay.
Registration yearly.
Who's it? It's just like getting your
So
car.
just like getting your car, yeah.
Okay.
So, if you make a vehicle legal for roads, they have to apply by all the vehicle standards, and this is specialty on equipment and stuff. So that gets pretty complicated. You don't have a rider on your homeowners. You got to carry liability insurance. So that's all codified and easily found. Well, maybe not so easily found, but so, okay. Thank you for putting the summary together there, Greg, and getting that out here. And just in case everybody, we are in the know, in case we receive some more phone calls along that. So with that, before we call for executive session, that's really the business I had planned. Is there other new business to consider? No? Okay. All right. So with that, we'll go through departmental reports. And then if someone wants to make a call for an executive session, we'll cite the reasons why we're going to do that and do that for just a brief update.
Only thing I would have to say on that is with Kevin's been here longer than anybody on the council, and he's not here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should take that into consideration.
Okay. I believe that's a good point. Yep, that's true. Okay. Departmental accounts. Chief Davis, you got something?
Yeah, we've had a pretty busy week, of the month, actually. Seemed like the, wreck bug has bit us here in the city. I've had 5 wrecks. Luckily, only one of them has been severe. And as of right now, every piece of equipment I got is up and running. The ladder truck is back. They got it up there and there was quite a few things wrong with it. While it was there, they fixed it. It's up, going good right now. I'm pleased with that. So everything's going good. We've got some new people that we're training. So we're in pretty good shape right now.
Okay, thank you. Chief Cannon?
All right, it's been a little while.
Back.
anyway, guys, so as far as, we're all doing fine. Just like Chief Davis said, there's been some accidents. We investigated them. We've actually had some vandalisms in our parks that, we've been investigating as well. But it seems like it's that time of year, our local youth are getting a little overzealous with some of the bathrooms, so. But we're taking care of that. Looking forward to summer coming in and getting all the visitors in and welcoming them to Calvert City. So other than that, the only thing I got coming up is I plan on being at the Summer Summit for the first 2 days for the ABC stuff. Other than that, I don't have anything else. You guys have any questions? All right, thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bobby, you got an update? You're gonna have to come up here and come up to the microphone. I've been instructed. And I forgot, Chief Davis got off the hook and Chief Cannon reminded me that when we televise these things, if you don't get on a mic, people can't hear. So I'm gonna let him get by and not make a duplicate, but next time, Chief, you're gonna have to come up and join part of the crowd. All right, okay.
Well, on the water sewer side, really no new news. Our project's still ongoing. Some are getting close to wrapping up, but we still like a couple months. And, I mean, everything else is dealing from day-to-day stuff. Nothing really to report.
What's the status on the lift station?
Lift station on Oak Park?
Yes, sir.
It's running with one pump right now on one side. But, we still got a panel that's supposed to be hopefully here next week. He's gonna put it together, brand new setup in it. We got one brand new pump in it right now running. We got another one coming in June.
Okay.
And then it's supposed to be all redone. I mean, it'll be a brand new one because everything got burned out of it.
Okay.
So it should be up and going hopefully by June something.
All right.
We'll get that other pump.
I don't know who was responsible for it and stuff, but when we had to curtail water usage and you all did the repair, that was handled so professionally. And the information that you had out on Facebook, asking people to do that and stuff. So
It helped.
whoever it was, you need to be commended on it because it was a great job. It really
Well,
was.
when I did that, it just came to me all of a sudden to do something like that. And I am glad I did because I could tell at the plant, the people conserving the water and it really helped for us. I mean, that's our raw feed, and it took everybody to do that. And I was so proud of it.
How many feet of water line had to be replaced?
540. We
So-
had a directional drill under the creek.
I lose track, but it was a phenomenal job in addressing that and repairing that. We haven't talked about that in here, have we? So they noticed a drop in water supply volume. And how quickly did you find it?
30 minutes.
30 minutes, they found a water leak underneath the floodwaters of Little Cypress Creek. And by lunch, they had identified, I went by to kind of check on it and they had people out digging the trenches to do the pull on that 580 feet of
We
water.
had a drill out there
It
at
was,
32 o'clock.
yeah, it was phenomenal response to have, at our disposal, those kinds of phone calls. And it was something that aged infrastructure, we'd rather have planned it out and replaced it. But as it turned out, you got a permanent, there's nothing temporary about that repair that was put in.
It's a
And-
very good line.
And
That's good question. And I don't know why I need to list, but was the pipe that burst as thick as the pipe you put in? Because I saw pictures of
The one with
five
the
you're
in-stick.
installing. Huh?
The one with the in-stick.
Well, that one is just, when I looked at it, I thought surely the one that busted wasn't that.
I don't know how big because I've never even put my eyes on it. I just know it busted.
Yeah.
Now, what was
Last time
the-
I heard, I'm pretty sure it was ductile iron, so. I
The
Yeah.
one they put in looked like it had a.
Yeah,
inch or
yeah.
eight.
So-
Water thick.
the HDPE lines are phenomenal. They electric weld them together and they tug them and roll them around. They fabricate them on the ground and they're tough. But when you look at them, the walls seem really, really thick. And it's a design point of how thick they are. And it's a lot of standard, get the fittings the right size so they weld together. But it was really a phenomenal response. And thank you to all the guys. There's we had one main break and ended up without any boil water on it.
Right.
Okay. So it takes a lot of effort to keep service reliable and everything. There was one multi-unit apartment complex affected. Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
Thought everybody in the world figured that one out.
So, good work on all that. Anything else to add?
Somebody got some other kind of question?
I know the industrial users were pleased with the communication during that too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I thank them too.
Yeah.
I mean, cause they pulled quite a bit,
Mm.
and I was glad that we got it done. I know it wasn't as quick as we wanted, but it was the quickest we could have done.
Calvert City's always been good about pulling together when they
Yeah.
need it, and if they don't know to pull together, and it was just great, all
Yeah,
of it
and-
was.
And I expressed it to everybody, the community, I mean, I was just so pleased. I was so pleased just with how, cause you might not believe it, but I mean, I could just tell that
Mm.
everybody was trying because it was not pulling as hard as.
So-
Hey, we all know, really like not have to do laundry
I
for a
sure
day or
say.
two.
So,
Don't say you couldn't do it, just minimize.
Oh, it's good.
It's good done.
So- yeah, they actually all clear was delayed by a few hours just to allow him to get comfort levels in his tanks.
Mm.
Okay, and the danger there is everybody's been conserving, and as soon as it gets all clear, you go back to what you conserve plus. But it was delayed by a few hours.
Yeah, we had to get back up to those safe levels.
But good job on that, the good coordination, and had help from admin down here getting those words out. So very good with that. I'm good.
Let me add to your report, Bobby, that, and it again, gives you guys an attaboy. Your extraordinary patience that you showed here out a couple of months ago or so when we had promised litigation, over an easement, worked like a charm. And we now, that is now resolved and we're moving forward with that project. So it's very good. Thank you, guys.
I guess.
All right. And we don't have Brad here to beat on, so we're gonna get a project update. Kind of move the order around a little bit since
That's all right.
I think Brad's mother-in-law is.
Yeah. Actually, right now, the Civic Center generator is up and operational, so that's done. The walking trail, of the land, not the land and water, but the multi-use walking trail. Is moving. All I like now is the fence. Weather's kind of held them back to some degree. But they've had conversations with our people about placement, so that's been taken care of. We've also received our first construction reimbursement, continuing about $418,000. So that has been extremely beneficial. That's reduced our out-of-pocket costs so far down around 117,000, which is below what we expected. So we still have a bill, I'm sure, coming, but for the most part, it looks like we're going to be in budget on that one. after
so
all.
we do want to thank some folks that helped us get that reimbursement pulled through. Glenda worked on it tirelessly. There's a lot of details on that much money. So, and then some help from transportation got it. So
Pickleball court, right now, like I said, we've got some stuff that's been ordered to go ahead and get that knocked out, have it here when it's ready to go, but until, I don't know when they're gonna be able to get started on it, they just keep pushing them off. However, the contract, due date is August the 5th. So we have, if you'll notice, we actually extended money in next year's budget and only used about 100,000 of it this year for this other stuff to get it going. So we're still within our budget for that as well. Paving Plank Cutoff Road, we've done some pre-work on it, some stuff on it to get it ready for the paving for next year. And West 10th Avenue were the only paving projects in this year's budget. Until we get the parks done. We've got the contracts in for them, and Smith is gonna be doing the balance of the old park with the parking lot, and we talked about this last time, but also the trail down here through the pergola and around the outside, that'll all be paved. Downstairs, if you have not been down to the training room, take a look down there sometime, just drop by and look. We've actually gone in, we've recarpeted it and done some flooring upgrades down there that looks great. We expect this to last for quite a while. This carpet up here was well selected. The pad was extremely good. This carpet's been here longer than I've been here. And so it's old, but it also still looks good. It's still worn well. And so we hope that we picked out the right stuff to do it again for down there. But that was also something we've got taken care of. And then Mayor had asked me to look into what Mayor Dotson and Benton had done with the school system about temporary storm shelters. And I've had conversations with Kendra and with KLC. And we'll have to have a memorandum of agreement between us and the school system. They're also looking at our insurance. I think it's going to cover. But we would probably have to, this would be an after hours shelter only. So during school hours, we would not have the access to it. It would be after hours. Weekends, holidays, etc. However, we also would have to provide an officer for security. This is not someplace for them to stay overnight. This is simply, you come during the storm, after the storm's over, it passes, you go back home. That's all this is, and that's all that's set to be. Animals are not allowed in this agreement. That's stated. So, but we are looking at it. Kendra was very excited about it. We're waiting. We've gotten information back from Mr. Tharp, and we're waiting to hear back from KLC about the insurance coverage. And so that's kind of where we stand on that. As soon as that's done, then we'll actually, if we are covered or whatever, we'll see about moving forward with an agreement. Okay?
So I want to extend a big thank you to the school board, school district for making that possible. It seems to make a lot of good common sense.
And Rita for her idea, because it just.
And that's exactly where I followed that.
Yeah.
I followed Rita on this one. I didn't even think it was a possibility. And
We
they got
told it wasn't a possibility before, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I cannot tell you who denied it. That's an inside joke. No, it wasn't. Yeah. And
Appreciate it.
So always wanting to partner with Calvert City Elementary and the school board every chance we get. And so this is a case of reverse. I think it makes a lot of sense for the community members, the taxpayers, the stakeholders in the school system, and it's doable under these. We should by all means move forward to do it. So that's just one step. There's other things that we need to do too. So that conclude.
The only other thing the guys have been working real hard on stormwater, culverts and stormwater flow, and they've done some work on Cedar, placed one that went underneath the road there. They've also done one over on Ash, over by the First Baptist Church. They redid one there. They've also done, they're in the process of putting in, those real deep water basins, or they're just open holes in the ground, over on off Cedar, where the basin is, the Simpson Basin is. We're putting in, stormwater catch basins there. They've been ordered. So we'll put them in. We'll be able to, that one right there being as deep as it was, we're going to be able to close those up, just catch surface water, and then carry the water that's being piped under the road through to the basin. So,
But
the holes they left in those were considerably deep.
Okay.
Chest deep on a man. So that was a little bit much.
After these kinds of flooding events that you have, you find a lot of spots in your community that need to be kept up. And I think it's a natural tendency of some homeowners to make their lives better and fill in things and allow stuff not to go maintained. We never worry about that until times that the water is going places we don't want it to be. It may be good for you, but it may not be so hot for your neighbor. And so it's always no fun when you have to go and correct those things that have been done. But, long term, it just puts an exclamation point on why we do those kinds of things. And the water along the roadways, the city's right of ways, of course, we have to keep those in line. And every now and then it results in us undoing some work that people did, and it's less than popular when you do that. But it's for the greater good, if you will. So that happens from time to time. Okay. Anything else to? Okay. With that said, council members, Ralph, you got anything? I don't usually start with Ralph. You got anything you want to bring up?
Well, last month, and then we talked about it again a few minutes ago, we agreed to raise the rates on refuse pickup. I wish that we would seriously consider asking the water board, and I know they eventually come back to us, but the water and sewer department needs more revenue than it has. I don't think it's a budget matter. It's, I know they've had a rate study, but I don't know that we've ever heard the results of that or what the comparable rates are around the area, but I think that we need to seriously consider how we can help the water and sewer department not only survive, but be able to continue to do what they've been doing. I mean, things cost so much more, pumps go out, and I know they've got that cost of living CPI kind of thing in
Right.
there. But I think that's inadequate. And they
Right.
need more money. And they're really supposed to be operating independently or being self-sufficient. And they are not going to be able to continue to do that.
Right.
So that's a subject for another meeting or mini meetings maybe, and a lot of
Right.
work on their part. They've done some of it.
Well, I don't recall the year that we put the CPI index in. And that was a method to try to move those rates forward and get them where it was just a matter of doing business and everybody understood. And that's what that has to happen. The rate study from Rural Water pointed out some significant issues with lack of funding. And so Calvert City utilities have been operating as somewhat marginally financially. And so it's hit city budget from time to time to kind of subsidize it. And so it becomes an active conversation. And we've had that conversation on the utility board about what you do. And since COVID, it's been a very good environment for grants. And we've been able to capitalize in some very timely grants to keep critical infrastructure up. And we've relied on close contacts with the PAD district who deals those out and working actively to make sure that, this small water system servicing a relatively small community which we have the uniqueness of having some Fortune 500 or big important industrial clients. So we have a little different piece of the puzzle put together than most communities. So it is, you're right, Ralph. We do need to, look at getting it on and instead of just dealing with the margins. I mean, looking forward the next few years, I mean, we don't really know what the grant situation is going to be. And we need to be able to capitalize on those when they're offered, but not depend on them. So we've had some major infrastructure rework and some major infrastructure upgrades, especially at the utility at the plant because of that. And so we need to take a look at it. Dan, do you have anything to add to that notion or? So thank you for that comment. And I believe that you're right. We gotta get and there's concerns when you're raising the water. Everybody has to have water. And for many of us, paying for increased rates are not that big of a stretch. But a lot of us in the community are not on flexible budgets. So it comes with a fair amount of understanding and concern about how we could do that in such a way to help people who really need that help and not create an issue. And I will tell you, and it was said in rural water department from the auditor, he bragged on the city's diligence in keeping utility books completely separate from the cities. So there's no guessing. We know exactly how many dollars per 1,000 gallons it costs, and you have to factor in your depreciation. And when you're dealing with, as Ralph knows about this, I ought to keep my mouth shut and listen to him. But as the first thing you do, you got to make cash flow, and you can forget about depreciation for a minute, but sooner or later, you better have those funds there for infrastructure rebuilding as you move along. So he had some comments, and we've got an open slate with him to come back and try to help us through some solutions. We haven't picked that back up for several months. Just because of bandwidth and some other stuff going on in that regard. But the sewer infrastructure, the headwaters projects is narrowing in on being complete and a lot of different things. We're getting down kind of back more to normal stuff. So thank you for the comments, and I'm sure the utility board will be more than happy to pick that up and make a recommendation to this board. Council. Okay. Anything else? All right. Jeremy?
Good.
You're good? Dustin?
I was gonna actually ask about the school thing, so I'm glad y'all mentioned it. And thank you again for working on that. If I could have beat Nita, I know she'd have gone first, but, there was a meeting in Grand Rivers that we all know about, and we've seen it in the news, and, University of Louisville wanting to do a study potentially here with the, industrial plants. And there's this kind of notion going around incorrectly, I feel like, that Calvert doesn't want testing to be done or somehow is trying to constrict testing to be done. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. And has anything been going? Is there any update on that? On what's going on there?
Well, I don't know that I've got an update as much as just kind of a clarification. There was a meeting and found out about it from media. And I think I heard it first on radio, and Blair tagged me with a West Kentucky Star excerpt. And so she and I went over there, and there were other people there. I found it was a little odd that we were having a meeting focused on Calvert City and Grand Rivers. And I walked in and learned about a study from the Center for Integrative Environmental Health Sciences. And they were giving a presentation on that. And it was the first time I'd heard the presentation or knew about the effort. So they're looking at several things, and it was laser focused at Calvert City. And they had asked us back toward the first of the year to participate in something, and it wasn't cast in a light of being part of a study. Okay. So they're looking at different citizens' complaints. They're partnering with Murray State, and they're wanting to do a review of what's going on and basically responding to citizens' complaints about things that could be traceable to Calvert City industry. And they were talking about it. And so it's a multifaceted look. And what they call WBE, wastewater-based entomology, was just a part of it. And so they had been denied access to sample Calvert City's wastewater. And I will tell you that one of their individuals had interfaced with our water department, and we had been talking back and forth on email and on the phone, and the full context of the study being multiple faceted, not just the wastewater, but human health sampling, looking into bird kills, which, during this time with bird flu and everything rampant, and we need to know about those sorts of things, and a review of amphibians. So it's an academic study, and they were looking to fund it. And it's the first time, to my awareness, that it was put in context, this ask. And so we've got a lot of things going on in utilities, and they were going to pay us, I think, $100 up to $100 weeks to take some samples, and they were going to co-sample, and we'd asked around and really couldn't find much information on it. Asked through contacts of rural water, and didn't know, and it just died on the vine. And there was I think there was a deadline somewhere around about February for seeking a grant, and we were not responsive to that, so it wasn't denied. I don't know what to say. If I'd understood it in the context of a greater study. I might have been more apt to put it on a higher priority and have gotten to a place where we understood more and perhaps granted that access, but I didn't understand it in that context at that time. And when you walk into something like this, I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to see where we go from there, what they may receive in funding to progress and continue to go down that road. Perhaps we can have a conversation about that moving forward. So that's kind of where we are. So you always love it when Calvert City gets splashed on headlines. And that was, I think it was Thursday night. And we did invite WPSD over and made a comment and tried to get them some information before their press time. I talked to Bobby about it on the phone. She was there covering the event. And added some valuable input, I believe. And
Have covered Calvert City's studies, at least 5 in the decade between early 80s and through the 90s. Got the results thereof in my basement. And as I asked them the questions, I think you were there when I asked the questions if they knew anything about those studies.
Right.
One was by the ASTR, and that probably was the biggest one, but it appeared that these people are scientists, they're smart people, they're highly educated, medical and environmental people. They were, I hate to say ignorant, but ignorant of the studies that had gone on in Calvert City in the past. I invited them to come spend an afternoon in my basement.
she did. I was there. She invited them.
That's what's so frustrating about this is I was not contacted by anybody.
I wasn't either, but I heard it on radio.
And well, Bobby's got more contacts than I guess.
Yeah.
But and then when I did contact them, after Bobby provided me with an email, and I said, now I could have missed this. We get lots and lots and lots of emails. I spend half my day deleting emails. So I said, I can't find where I've received it. And I don't believe I've got one. And when that's what I told them when I contacted this lady, who has now put me on their list, but she never denied what I was saying. No, she didn't address it, which, but and that's bothersome to me.
Well,
Now, I've been here for all of these studies. We're completing 41 years in business in a week or so. I've been here for all of them. And what beats the fire out of me is I have never seen a single time where any of these study groups went to the Kentucky State Health Department and did a count of fatalities and what people died of, what their death certificates say. Because for it to be significant, we run obituaries every single week. And if those dead bodies were turning up in numbers that people seem to think that they are, we know about it. Now, the problem is, the last time, this may be, you check me on this, so this may be different now. But all along, it's almost from the first, particularly the CDC ASPDR study. That was an epidemiological study. They actually went into, they took tissue samples, they did interviews, they had huge numbers of people that they interviewed here and took tissue samples from, blood samples from, and also in Cadis. Cadis was a test area.
It was what did they call it?
The standard roles.
Yeah,
That was the control. And their health was worse than ours.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they noted in the study that they believed that the reason that their health results were worse than ours was because they thought this wasn't proven, but they thought that the possibility was that the people that they were testing here simply had better economics and better health insurance.
right. Well, I didn't want to get into the depth of detail, but it was a point that, and I appreciate the question, Dustin, I really do. And I'm glad to have a chance to say something. We made some headlines in a not so beneficial way, and I wanted to inform council members of what that was. And I don't know where it's going to go. But there are concerned citizens that are reaching out for help. U of L is a pretty well known. I think they said they had 66. So in that institute, I had to check my notes. I did take notes, Bobby. You'd be proud of me. Center for Integrative Environmental Health Sciences, and they're partnering with the MSU. They've got 66 faculty, and I think 19 centers around the university, and they want to partner with Western Kentucky. And a lot of them were involved in Louisville's Rubber Town incident. And there was a lot of people talking about science in there. And they were, it was more about starting a study. It wasn't the results or reporting a study. Okay. So kind of keeping that out there. So I felt compelled that I owed you an excuse because we were sitting here and it appeared as if we were being protective of something. And that's not true. It's just, we're not looking for an extra $100 a week with everything we have going on in wastewater, and we couldn't get a good cross reference on exactly what WBE is. And it died on the vine. And, but I will attest to you, it was never presented to me in the context of a cross-functional study, a multidisciplinary approach to study. And perhaps the outcome would have been different. And maybe we talk some more, it couldn't be different. I don't know, but that's the report. And that's why we were in the news last week. So I thought I wanted to thank you for giving me an opportunity to discuss that.
Who did they invite? If none of you, you found out about it on the media, how did they?
Well, I'm not sure, and I can't speak to that. I really don't know. There were some people there, and so Judge Bragg said he was not. Judge McCracken and Marshall were called out, in Calvert City in particular, about we didn't bother showing. And Judge Bragg, I was on with him on the phone on Friday, the day after, and he wants to, and I think he's made a press release to the fact that he wasn't invited. I think I've seen Judge Clymer say the same on WPSD, and we found out about it, was there, and I wasn't recognized. I don't know if anybody's had seen me. Some of the people I talked to on the phone spent several minutes talking to them on the phone, and we weren't on the communications list, or perhaps an email got deleted. I don't think so. I don't know, but
I mean, that's just par for the course.
well,
Like,
anyway,
what
that's out
happens a lot
there.
of
That's
times
out there.
is-
And you guys, being here and you're going to hear talk, being city council, you got to be aware. So I don't know what the next steps are. And when we find out more, I'll make sure we keep you involved.
The most insightful comment I saw out of the whole thing was the one that Bobby made, was $20,000. $20,000? That's chump change.
Well, they're looking for funding for sure. And in this climate, why, if we're going to do science, and I think we need to make sure we keep politics out of it. And it was stated that the result of the EPA risk assessment was that Calvert City has a high cancer risk. That was what was said at that meeting. And that's a pretty superficial review of a pretty entailed study to talk about that in that way at just a surface level. And here I'm going to get into the details. I'm sorry.
A higher cancer risk is not the same as a higher cancer rate.
I understand. Like I said,
we're getting convicted on a risk.
well, that flat statement, while not inconsistent with what EPA put out, it's a pretty superficial talking point of the overall situation. To your point, pretty superficial treatment of some pretty specific scientific stuff. I mean, it takes a few minutes to put that all together. So
Told me that, I think it was Lark who told me, Lark Reynolds.
Mhm.
She's, forgot what her title is, but it's a long title. She is an investigator, has been with the University of Louisville 36 years, been doing this type of work.
yeah, she was involved with in Rubber Town.
Yes, she
Yeah,
was involved with
and I think that was a pretty big success for them up there.
The first time I heard the phrase angiosarcoma was in connection with VF Goodrich in Louisville.
Right.
There were several people came down with that. Angiosarcoma is not an everyday disease that people
Right.
just get.
easily. It's linked to vinyl chloride. But that's all they will say, that it is linked to vinyl chloride. We know that there is one person who has appeared here saying that she is now suffering from angiosarcoma.
Right.
Lark told me that this group of investigators have identified 4 others, 5, they say, who are suffering from angiosarcoma. She did not tell me where they are from.
Right.
I don't think anything like that. The lady who was here was also, she and her husband were
Right.
also at that meeting, but they said nothing.
Right. I think I was sitting next to him.
I
Yeah.
think just show them Bobby and Sprout Davis and Lillian Deeds, and that's all the proof they need,
Yeah.
that this is a safe area to live.
Well, okay.
Well, the thing about it is that cancer is very real, kills people, it's a horrible thing, horrible disease. But 1 in 4 people, and throughout this entire study period, one of the things that kind of remain consistent is 1 in 4 people in the United States will die of cancer.
Hmm.
So it's very real, you know, but, you know,
But angiosarcoma is a rare cancer. It is not
Very rare.
It's
Right.
not the type
Okay.
of cancer that most people die
All right.
in this region.
but as for me, I'm gonna do everything. Bobby's got me a story, we're gonna run the story. And we're gonna do everything we can to present information in a fair, straightforward way. And so don't take my comments to mean I'm not for the study, I am for study. But I want studies to be done scientifically, and I want that information to be presented scientifically. And I want us to be very particular about how we use terms.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're saying because I have learned over the course of my life many times, I've got lots of wounds and scars from using the wrong word. Just a word that was just a fraction out of the lane
Right.
can really kill you.
Yeah.
So.
It can get you in a lot of legal trouble.
It sure can.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's enough on that, but it is something that was a little bit of a stressor in the last week, and I know that we made the news. I want everybody to say, so thanks for the question, Dustin. And Nita, you got?
I really do not.
Okay. Well, and I do, I will openly, have I told her yet? Rita led the way on the school thing. I didn't know it was possible. And John
Yeah,
talked
I had
to our
breakfast.
partner.
I had breakfast
Yeah.
with Rita
Yeah.
and stuff, so I know she did. She did great.
Okay. Last but not least.
Well, I was just gonna say thank you for all of you all going into so much detail in the budget workshop since we're new. I know it was a long night and I appreciate it because it helped me a lot. I really learned a lot.
Well, that's not your first one you've participated in.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Good enough.
Sorry for myself the next day.
All right. Thank you
So
for
I
that.
appreciate it.
Okay.
And I have had one question about, so our city is still using the Code Red system, correct?
That is correct.
But the county is going to something?
That's a very good question.
Yes.
Do you know the situation, John? You want to talk about that?
I don't know I know they're utilizing another system, but I don't know if they're still using Code Red or not. Monty, can you talk to
I
that?
cannot remember we are switching to that. From
The new
Code Red
system.
to that,
X
but there
something.
is a interim period where I think maybe that they will both. Work because we had a contract issue there, so we were paying for 2.
And
I see.
Jeremy, do you remember the name of the new system?
No, I saw it.
Hyperreach.
Yeah.
HyperReach. So there's a transition period right now.
We're still operational with Code Red and continue to be.
It's just less expensive. Is that why the switch?
I'm not sure what drove the switch. But we were with Code. We were with Code Red initially.
So $7,000 less.
Yeah. So,
And I think they did, they did a lot of study to make sure that it was comparable first.
That's on my countywide, there was $7,000 less. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't say for $7,000 less.
No.
we wouldn't be paying
So
anything.
we got with Code Red, and I don't know the years. We were with Code Red a few years, and the county picked up Code Red. Some of the local industry has Code Red capable functionality. Part of this is, oh wow, part of this is you can't get a database worth of hoot. Nobody has a home phone. You can't find out anybody's phone numbers. And so if people do not register with you, even down to our utility contacts numbers, you don't know who it is. So all these messages are automated, people. So it is like if I need to tell somebody I've known my whole life something for utilities, we don't sit up here and call individuals that live on the street. We get on the CAD system or the close proximity thereof and outline this area and send out an automated message, and we use our database. Okay. Well, part of the plant's issues are they don't have a complete database. And so they are capable of activating. What is the acronym for that? When you're in a storm area and it hits everybody's cell phones at one time, that is pushed forward under certain circumstances. The county has that capability. Calvert City Industry, through the local emergency planning committee and through the Office of Emergency Management, they can force a message, and forgive me for not remembering the acronym, to everybody. Everybody in that area will get the screaming cell phone and it will give you the message. And one of the drivers for that is so hard to get a decent database. Okay. So Calvert Industry will switch with the county because they need that functionality, and it comes through that authority to be able to do that through the county OEM. So the industry is going to switch to that. Now, whether Calvert City goes to Code Red or goes to Hyper Reach, is that the right name? We'll have to look at that from a funding perspective. It's not been a study that we've done. And I'm not really familiar with our contract with Code Red as far as its duration and but that's something we could put on our to-do list.
Can you not have both of them if you signed up for both?
You could, sure. You could, but then you'd have to activate both of them. And then when we do
I mean,
things.
like an individual.
No,
Oh, yes, absolutely. Individual, you can sign up for both. And in my house, I got the home phone going off, 2 cell phones and a poodle dog screaming about the outdoor sirens. So, we get notified at Colburn household. So.
The emergency management page on Facebook has, they put out a press release. So if you like.
Yeah, there's information out there. And I've seen it. I think I've seen it I've seen it in Lake News. I believe that Switch, you reported on it from. So, everybody sign up for that. That's a no-brainer. It's a free service for all the citizens. And you can sign up for the both of them. If you're Calvert City residents, you're already in Code Red. We're going to continue Code Red. But I would encourage you to sign up for the county's level too. Utilities department in Calvert uses Code Red when we do, I don't know, other examples of Code Red. Listen, shame on us if we incorrectly use the system and get a bunch of trash stuff going out there for non-emergency situations. So we put out a boil water alert. We can surgically say it's these houses on this part of the main and do a pretty good job of that. So, and we'll just see if Hyper Reach is the way to go, or we're going to stick with Code Red. We've been with Code Red how many years? Can you remember? It's been a long time.
yeah, it is.
It's been a long time, but again, you can't stress enough. Public has got to sign up for the database or it's not worth anything.
Vernon Arboleda was still working.
Vernon, oh man, it's been a long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
So anyway, that's all that I have. And so that said, we do have a project update on the last executive session, and we've had some stakeholders present with us today, and do see that we're missing a council member and are sympathetic to that. But I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we need to.
Before we actually take that vote.
We got to read the reason why before we take the vote. Read the reason why. Well, I didn't tell you anything. It's not on the agenda, and it's a brief update, and we're not likely to take any action that we can talk about when we come out.
So.
It's economic development and project oriented.
Look at this.
We've got a project that is an economic development behind the cloak of a project development deal. And
okay. The purpose for the closed session. I'm trying to remember what the closed session is. What's the purpose for the closed session?
economic development,
Economic development.
talking about a specific opportunity, a project to protect the project.
Protect the privacy, and the proprietary interests of the parties involved. And, the section of 61.810 that authorizes the exclusion from open meetings is subsection 1, subparagraph G. Discussions between a public agency and a representative of a public entity and discussions concerning a specific proposal. If open discussions would jeopardize the siting, retention, expansion, or upgrading of the business, that is the reason for the exception from the closed session. So having made that announcement,
Now we can take a vote.
now take a vote.
So we could have a motion in a second now.
Sure.
Okay. If somebody wants it.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Kevin is coming.
Opposed?
Is Kevin coming?
Coming?
Is he
Okay.
coming?
You didn't know how long it would take, so.
He's just getting back to Calvert. He said he can come by if he needs to.
You tell him yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you do take action, will you?
I will let you guys know. I'll text you either way. Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.